place.
How would you balance our need for energy with sensitive environmental and national security issues?
I know there's been a lot of energy focused on solar and wind energy. Unfortunately, both of those forms of alternative energy are the least reliable forms of alternative energy that we have. If we're going to get serious about reducing our dependence on foreign oil, we also have to adopt a strategy where we conserve more and look at ways to take the time and the cost of permitting some of our nuclear and coal-fired plants out of the process. Right now, DTE has spent over $100 million in permitting their new nuclear plant. They've essentially moved the permitting paperwork from one desk to another, but are no closer to putting a shovel in the ground. That's $100 million that the ratepayers are being forced to pay before a bit of energy is produced out of that plant.
Thank you.
We have to have a broad portfolio. I sat for 6 years on the Energy and Technology Committee, and excuse me, while I was served in the State House, and I also chaired a alternative energy subcommittee for a period. And we do need alternative energy. Lots of people have different definitions of what that means, and some include nuclear, some don't, some include hydro, some don't. We do have to have a broader base, but I do believe that as we're moving forward, having wind farms out in the lake is a mistake. I think that is going to, certainly the way they have been proposed, it was definitely a mistake. And I think we've got to come up with a better solution to that, because, as it's been pointed out, it is not going to be able to carry the backbone of what our energy needs are.
I'm in favor of wind power, solar power, and I think we should do more exploring the possibilities for fourth-generation nuclear reactors. There's no such thing as clean coal. That is a shill by the coal industry to, well, make you believe that there's clean coal. Wind, not reliable? Well, I've been in England. I've been in Norway with the Marine Corps. I've seen the wind farms there, both onshore and offshore. Are we telling ourselves that the United States can't do the same thing that our European neighbors are doing? As far as a matter of national security, Nigeria is the 5th largest exporter of oil to the United States. We get oil from countries that basically hate our guts. And everybody in here, if you've seen the news in the last week, we are basically right now killing the Gulf of Mexico. Friends, this is not a question of if, but when. We have to move toward alternative sources of energy, not just because it's good nationally, but for planetary survival.
We talked about a number of things. We're spending more than $400 billion a year buying oil from the Middle East. We need to be looking at national security issues. We need to find ways that we can wean ourselves from the kinds of consumption of oil that we have. I might add, I have a Jeep right now. I can't wait till I can afford to buy a less expensive fuel-consuming car. But we need to be looking at use of wind, solar, and the important thing we have here in Michigan that many of you don't even realize, Wayne may, we have one of the largest deposits of natural gas on the planet. It pollutes less than half the pollution of coal. It pollutes less than half the pollution of petroleum, and it is potentially an industry for our state that we need to look very seriously at.
Everyone is hesitant about the wind energy out on the lake, but China is leading the world in wind energy. They're putting them up everywhere. But whatever energy we use, it must be something that is sustainable and renewable. We must divest ourselves of spending for coal and oil that are not environmentally safe. I thought that when we had Valdez that we had learned our lesson, but we just keep getting knocked over the head. We keep chasing the same rainbow. We keep asking ourselves the same question, and we get the same response, and then we ask ourselves, how did we get here? But we have to use renewable, and it must be renewable.
Right now, 57 cents of every dollar goes out of our borders, and some of this money is going to countries that quite frankly hate us, and they're going to use our own money to ruin our lives and the life we've come accustomed to, and by using this and our addiction to foreign oil, unseat us as the world's superpower and economy. China's thirst for energy is quickly growing, and by the way, they have the cash to start buying it and leaving us in the dust. Another point, a fair and balanced energy policy that does not favor one industry over the other, coal, nuclear, solar, wind power. Last but not least, using less energy. I believe in this. I live in a LEED certifiable home that uses less energy. It costs me more money up front, but I knew my operating cost indefinitely would be much lower.
I'm an all of the above. I believe for short term, nuclear would be able to satisfy our demands immediately. Does that mean we forget about solar and wind? Absolutely not. We live in a country where we have lots of entrepreneurs. I remember when I was in high school, who would ever thought that this was possible? So what I mean by that is that someone may invent something, a chip, and make wind and solar something that's a lot more usable. So I'm an all of the above. Thank you very much.
You know, I think that when we discuss energy, we have to ask the question. I know there are people that are for wind energy, people that are against windmills on the coast, but we have to ask the question, how much is this going to cost taxpayers? You know, so many times people say I'm for windmills or I'm against them, but they haven't discussed one of the most the key issues. We are right now on the verge of bankruptcy in our country and our state. Our state right now buys power from other states because our regulatory system in this state is so skewed that they can't build any new power plants. At the same time, we have the government deciding who the winners and losers are going to be. The challenge I have with the wind energy specifically is that you need the exact same size power grid when you have windmills because there's no storage capacity. You need the same size power grid because if the wind isn't blowing, you still need to have the alternative or the other energy there to produce that energy. I don't understand how anybody can be for something until we know how much it's going to cost.
I am an all-of-the-above approach, and I believe wholeheartedly that in order for us to gain energy independence, it is critical for us to take a look at it not only in terms of our financial future, but also in terms of national security issues. Right now, we import 66% of our crude from out of our borders. And in essence, what we're doing then is we are funding both sides of a war right now. And so I believe that what we need to have is a comprehensive strategy. I do not believe that government is it's the proper role or function of government to pick winners and losers in a particular industry. We don't know what the next new oil is going to be. And you know where that's going to come from? It's going to come from entrepreneurs and the free market system. And so government coming in and picking one particular industry over another is a wrong approach. What we need to do is make sure that we have a comprehensive energy strategy. That's what I would do.